There is a thinking error in modern culture, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Warren Smith does a very good job in pointing that out.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you put it that way, that there is a true way to run a business, because postmodernism would claim that, which is all about truth claims being the result of social conditioning. Many would claim there is no true way to run a business. It's up to me, and all interpretations are equally valid.
I'm sure you've heard that before. You can have your truths and I can have my truths, and both are equally valid. What Constantine says next begins to expose the frailty of that idea.
If you think about life in general, the closer you are to the truth of whatever the issue is, the more functionally better off you're going to be in that situation, right? So if your understanding of how to run a business is as close to the truth as possible, you're going to be better at running a business. If your understanding of what the truth of a YouTube channel is and how to run one, you're going to be better at doing that. If your understanding of what relationships are like is closer to the truth, that's much better for you than having your own emotional experience that drives you away from the truth and towards confirming your own biases or whatever else.
A lot of the people who think truth is absolutely subjective forget the fact that truth has utility. There is value to truth. And Constantine goes ahead to describe a very relatable example of that fact.
But you see, you take any example that, I mean, you talked about martial arts. I imagine, I'm not a martial artist, but I imagine it's true that there are different ways to throw a punch and there are different ways to do this. But there is a truth.
But there's one punch that's most effective. Our bones can only structure in one way. Given your body composition, there's only one way you can get the most momentum in that position.
Right.
So that's an important distinction.
And this is what I think a lot of this dynamic that we now have in terms of the way people communicate is, I think actually most people I see online are behaving like postmodernists.
When people claim truth can be subjective, if you press them on that, what you realize is that sometimes they are really talking about their experience, which of course experience is subjective. If two people witness an event occur, their narrations will be different and they would both be right. But that doesn't mean they were telling the truth. They were only narrating their experience. That's why there is that room for subjectivity. Usually the truth comes out later when all the accounts of a particular event have been properly analyzed. I understand it seems intuitive to think truth can be subjective. The idea looks like it makes sense. But if you think about it critically, truth traditionally refers to something that is real, regardless of who is looking at it. If something is true, it doesn't depend on culture or society or whatnot, it just is. The truth refers to something objective. Another thing people subconsciously refer to when they claim truth can be subjective is their beliefs. And of course, your beliefs are subjective. You can decide to believe whatever you want. It's really up to you. But that doesn't make your beliefs true. It just makes them your beliefs. Of course, your opinion is yours. Your beliefs are yours. You could believe whatever you like and you have freedom of speech and you could really say anything about any situation. You have the rights to do that. But that doesn't mean your beliefs and your opinions automatically translate as truth. If your beliefs or opinion automatically translate as truths, that means two contradicting claims can be true. So if one person says the earth is flat and the other person says the earth is round, are they both right? Now, the reason why the guy that thinks the earth is flat is wrong is because if we check the earth, it's not flat. Objectively, without anyone's perspective, the earth is round. It doesn't really require... The earth fits what we describe as spherical, and that's objective. It's not about how you see it, because a lot of the times the people who believe that the earth is flat, they do so because it matches their experience. I mean, when we go outside, everywhere seems flat. That's just how it seems. The only people who have experienced the earth as spherical are people who have been to space. The rest of us see the earth as flat, but that conclusion is not true because objectively, the earth is round. This idea of subjective truth has become very popular, and you could understand why, because it validates everything everybody has to say ever. We all know that some people lie, and people's ability to describe a situation differs depending on their culture, their emotions, their perspective, and so many other subconscious drives. But in reality, truth is not subjective. Truth is objective. The truth is what is objective. That's literally the definition of truth. This becomes very apparent once you try to relate with reality, because a lot of these ideas only make sense because all you do is think about them in your head and you can really rationalize anything if you're just thinking about it. If you're trying to build something, anything at all, what you quickly realize is that not all opinions are valid, because you're going to approach it with your default opinion, your default perspective, and you realize that almost everything you thought about it is wrong. This is why we go to schools. This is why we train professionally. We go to school to learn what other people figure to be true about life, so that it can inform our opinions and our judgment on situations, so that we can achieve our particular goals much more easily. If the truth was subjective, you wouldn't really need to learn anything from anyone, because, I mean, my own experience is as valid as yours, so what's the point of listening to you? If you're trying to make progress in life, you are not going to achieve that by thinking everything you think is true. It's just not possible, because everything you think is not true. And you know this because you've been wrong so many times. And some of those times, no one was even there to witness it. It was just you. You thought about something, you thought it would go a certain way, and it absolutely did not go that way at all. So we have huge evidence that what we think is not always true. So saying things like "my truth" really doesn't make any sense. What you really mean is your experience or your opinion or your perspective. So what do you think? Do you have an explanation? Do you have an alternate explanation that really proves the subjectivity of truth? Let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you enjoy the kind of things I talk about, consider subscribing to the channel. See you guys in the next video.